Well, to hot topics now, and public fury is growing over the sentence handed down to Broncos star Ezra Mam. Queensland's Attorney-General is now even considering changes to the law after the footballer escaped a serious crash without a conviction. After leaving 3 people injured, a magistrate ruled that a $850 fine was enough. That's much less than fines for any Queenslander caught touching their mobile phone or miswearing a seatbelt. And for their take, let's bring in commentator Cath Webber and journalist Joe Hildebrand. Welcome to you both.
Morning.
Okay, Cath, should the laws be changed to increase a penalty for something like what Ezra Mam did?
Of course they should. Like, even when you look at what the maximum penalties are, and you imagine yourself in that scenario, getting out, there's a 4-year-old with a fractured hip, you're completely shook, your car's damaged, and you get out and you find not only are they unlicensed because they've lost all their demerit points, they're also on drugs. What would you expect in that moment? There's going to be some hefty punishment. In the guidelines of the law is the problem, where there needs to be, more severe punishment. The reason this is annoying everyone is that these light punishments that are being handed out, it's actually within the system. Now, the one thing I will say with Ezra, I think people are getting quite nasty personally about him. This is highlighting the case. If anything, it's a gift now that we can see that this probably happens every single day. I'm sure it does. I'd love someone to do a deep dive of how many accidents happen with unlicensed drivers that are on drugs and they just walk free. Or just even have these light sentences. Yeah. I mean, that would be the real story. Ezra is going to pay big, and it's what he does with it now. He has a platform, he has a profile. He could change things for a lot of young people who look up to him, tell them that, and he is remorseful. But how many times has this happened in any other kind of... It infuriates people, rightly so.
Yeah, $850 fine and licence suspended for just 6 months. Joe, you've applied your so-called plumber's test to this.
I did apply the plumber's test to this, and it was interesting how it turned out. So my thing, whenever a celebrity or a sports star or whatever gets in trouble, I say, all right, what if this guy was just an ordinary Joe Schmo, ordinary plumber? Would the same rules apply? Would you see the same sort of sentences? Would you see the same amount of public sympathy? And it was very weird. I looked at the comments of the piece that I wrote, and they were almost exactly divided. So you had half saying, no, the judges are Santa Clauses and they're giving lenient sentences out willy-nilly, and another half was saying, no, this is absolute bollocks. My cousin got done for far less and he ended up getting, the number of people I said they got caught doing .052 and, didn't hurt anybody, but still had their licence cancelled for, 1 year or 2 or get fines above $1,000. And so I think there is an element of kind of stardust to this, and I think we have to be very careful. The most important thing about any true democracy is that the law applies equally to everybody. Yep. And if there is, even at the most subconscious level, this degree of sort of leniency, I mean, people are saying the guy would have got more for a high tackle than he got for this.
Yeah, you hear it all the time.
And this was not a small car crash. I mean, these things were wedged together. Yeah. Like
especially $850 for him as well.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Oh, that's right.
All right, now moving on. And Sydneysiders are bracing for a public transport nightmare on New Year's Eve as the state's rail union threatens to strike through December 31st, with train services to be running at roughly half as normal. The rail union boss says that commuters could instead, this is really helpful, just catch a taxi. You can also get the bus.
Easy to get a taxi on New Year's Eve.
Easy. Yeah. So just get the taxi in and watch the fireworks. Or
cheap too. Yeah.
Or he's also offered this advice for the fireworks.
I would imagine that some people may heed the warning and stay at home, watch the fireworks at home.
That's Tony Warnes there. Excellent. So we'll just watch it at home, Cath.
Oh, my goodness. Is he serious? What? You're trying to get public sympathy behind you to put pressure on in a typical union move, demanding 32% for their workers, and you want people to support you and try and get this through? And you're talking like that? Like, it's outrageous. And be careful what you wish for. I've done the fireworks a couple of times in Sydney. They are spectacular. The first time, Uber wasn't around. There were no e-scooters. It was a nightmare. It was like, talk about claustrophobia in the train station. It was hellish for a couple of hours getting home. The second time Uber was around, I've never had a seamless drive in and out of Sydney in my life. There are a lot of options. Is he really trying to encourage people not to use trains and get used to not using trains? Look, he might have a bigger issue.
Cath's just picked up on something there. Look, everyone's entitled to fair pay, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the messaging around this that just appears so tone deaf.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, look, I am enough of a political nerd that I actually have my favourite unions, and the RTBU is one of my favourite unions, but they have been very bolshy recently, and you can see almost there the union boss himself looks like he's been marched out at gunpoint. It's like, what do I have to say? Sorry, what am I... But, oh, OK, I'm meant to go out and destroy New Year's Eve. Like, what are they going to send him out to do next? Like, destroy Christmas? It's cancelled, everybody. Santa's sleigh, we've had a look at it, and it's non-regulation. We're going to give the reindeer overtime, and that's going to come in. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able... And the guy just looks like he's walking the plank. And I think that tells you everything you need to know about the message that he's trying to sell. Yes, all workers deserve a decent pay rise, but the Labor government in New South Wales has been more than happy to deliver decent pay rises to other unions, including the teachers and the cops. And you kind of think, if you're doing this to a Labor government, what do you think your chances are going to be under the other?
It's not looking good, is it? All right. Thank you so much. Not so ordinary, Joe.
Who's your favourite union?
I'm not ordinary.
Christmas drinks with Joe. Who's your favourite union?
Special Cath.